Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Revitalise ReConnect Meets, where I get the opportunity to meet business owners and key influencers from across the UK business community. And today comes with no question. I am with a gentleman who's got a plethora of experience on LinkedIn. He's had previous roles with a marketing director of Dranbury, an executive director of the Sunrise Senior Living, and has been in business now for 13 years running LinkedIn Success Systems. Can you please welcome with me today the one and only Mr. Miles Duncan. Miles, how are you today?
Yeah, really nice. Thank you for having me along, Lee.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, and I've got to know you over the last few years with everything you've been doing, and I know we've been following each other. It's great to catch up with you once again, so thank you very much. Miles, could you share with everybody today who's listening and watching a little bit about LinkedIn Success Systems, a synopsis of what your business does?
Sure. Well, as you say, in my early 40s, I really embraced the platform. I became a member in 2004. With all my sort of 20 years of sales and business development experience before that, I kind of felt that people really didn't use LinkedIn. I was quite frustrated. People weren't using LinkedIn as much. They didn't realize the huge opportunity that was kind of in their browser, a free platform. So actually, when I was 42, 43, my first client came from LinkedIn. And he's a guy called Michael Steen. He owns Stein Lettings in Newington, just outside of Edinburgh, 700 odd properties. And we did some interesting stuff with that company. We eventually sold it as well. And he gave me some good advice. He said, listen, Miles, why don't you just specialize in one thing and become really good at one thing? And do you know what, Lee? I listened to him 14 years ago. And that's all I've done. My mission over the last 13, 14 years is really to provide great service, great training, and really help individuals, teams, large teams in and outside the UK become really, really good and get real value and return and income from LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I think I 100% agree with you on that one. When I first met you 3 years ago, with the first sort of, it was an event in Glasgow, and that was, I think it was at the studio in one of them as well.
That's right,
I helped out with, and you really helped a lot of people, many connections with their LinkedIn profile, and you know how to talk it, and you walk it, and you do it exactly the way you do. So absolutely superb, Miles. Thank you.
Welcome.
So you very kindly came along in March, and you did, for the Revitalise Business Club members, part 1 of our learning sessions. And also, I'm really excited that next week on the 9th of June, you're going to be coming back to do part 2 for us. And you're going to be doing some of the different sections, probably 4 of them you mentioned. Could you expand out for the June session about number 1 part of it is the networking and the engagement side of things?
Yeah, well, just following on from part 1 was all about building a great brand, a great profile. So if you want success on LinkedIn, Lee, and all your members and who watch with this, many people rush into that activity. They don't get their brand sorted out, their persona on LinkedIn. And there's 3 words you should remember. When you look at your profile, is it aligned, is it congruent, and is it optimized? So we've already done that as part 1. So I thought it'd be really useful. Part 2 is about what do we do now on LinkedIn, okay? So networking and engagement. So what I want to share with your group is there's a thing called the law of reach, okay? Really misunderstood. In fact, some people get it so wrong it turns them off on LinkedIn, so they don't really use that appropriately. And there's also this kind of 2 networks. On my experience with all the people I've helped over the last 14 years, there's what I call a strong tie network and a loose tie network. And so the confusion between the law of reach, the loose tie network, strong tie network, and all the do's and don'ts and how to engage with people is absolutely critical in sharing that with some of your members.
Superb, absolutely superb. And I think you're right. Well and truly, I'm looking forward to seeing how you actually share that with everybody as well, because people took so much wealth of golden nuggets from the last session on that. So that'll be exciting. The second part we're going to look at is prospecting. And I think this is really interesting on prospecting, because people have this area of thinking, do I go premium? Do I stay standard? how do I prospect?
Exactly. Well,
Yeah,
what I shared, and hopefully a lot of your members will remember, maybe people who are not members watching this, uh, on the free platform, you've got to be aware of where your filters are, your search tools. So remember, we had a look at that, and I won't go into that right now, but you've got to be really aware that they're quite hidden, of how to find your filters so you can start looking around the network. But kind of what I've learned over the last 14 years with helping loads of people, there's 11 tried and tested prospecting strategies. Now, I'm not being mean, Lee. I'm not going to give them all away.
that's okay.
But I'm going to give four away. There we go, 4 things. So I'm going to give 4 away to your group. And this is really going to help them, if you like, build out their pipeline.
Yeah.
A lot of people make the mistake of having quite a narrow pipeline because they're thinking outside LinkedIn. When you think inside LinkedIn, you can actually have a vast pipeline. And you can have a much bigger bandwidth of what's actually possible. So a lot of sales teams I help, I can ask the guys, what's your pipeline? Well, I've got 5 contacts doing this, 10 doing that. LinkedIn, you can have hundreds, and it's how you manage them, and it's how you use the prospecting filters to get the right prospects that are slightly better qualified into your pipeline managing forward. So I think it's going to be really helpful to add some value around these 4 prospecting strategies that I know that work because I've had 14 years of people using them.
Well, I feel very privileged you're going to share the
You're
4 with us anyway. Thank you very much. The third area you're going to look at is client retention. I think this is really important. It's that retention time. It's building your network up, but it's also maintaining those relationships.
Absolutely. It's a key mistake. And like part 1, unfortunately, people just look at LinkedIn as a prospecting tool. Okay, so they kind of focus in that direction, leads, doing leads. So you must remember, it's not a selling tool, it's a nurturing tool. You build relationships. Just focus on how you add real valuable service to your client base. But one great thing that people overlook on LinkedIn is actually, if you're connected to all your clients, and you're connected to the clients within clients, so their little client circle in their offices, the managers, the directors, the people that you get to know, you're increasing your network through one client, and also following their company pages. Because let's face it, your client might not necessarily be that active on LinkedIn, but their company pages are. But what it does, Lee, is if you manage that process and you're actually engaging with LinkedIn, it gives you a really valuable way of staying very current and present in your client's mindset. But you're not pushing out emails, you're not doing a standard corporate newsletters and stuff. That you're just quietly on their radar screen. And that's all goes back to nurturing and keeping really present, but in a very professional, in a very soft way. And so there's 3 really good strategies in there that I want to share with your group about how to do that and how to maintain that.
Superb. And I think it's right. It's keeping you in sight and in mind.
Absolutely.
Out of sight, out of mind. So, but I'm looking forward to that one. And fourth, but no means least, most importantly, is visibility. We touched on it briefly there, with visibility.
Absolutely. So I'm of this view, and I hope it doesn't come around. You can't fail on LinkedIn. Okay. Now I have this analogy. The gym doesn't fail you. The human error does. Once you understand the gym and you're consistent and you know what you're doing, you'll get the results. But then you stop going to the gym. You become a bit lazy. You suddenly think, well, I'll go next week. It doesn't matter today. I'll do it another day. Then what do you expect to happen? You're not going to get the results. So visibility is key. Because if you're doing the right actions, and I will always say to someone, if you want to be really good on LinkedIn, 20 minutes a day, once you know what you're doing, it's going to be really, really thing. But you want to be visible in the right way. We touched on it in terms of keeping a cognizant and present in your client network. But you also want to be visible in your prospecting, in your pipeline. You're reaching out of that, but you have to do it in the right way. And if you do it in the right way, I believe there's a bit of us that if we see the right person doing the right things, even though we don't know them, we begin to get to know them on LinkedIn. And if you like, they become the familiar resource and eventually become the go-to resource. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So once you key up your visibility and you know what you're doing, and again, I read lots of stuff on LinkedIn. I never get involved with it. It doesn't work, doesn't do this. The gym doesn't fill you. Human error does.
Again, 100%. I was speaking to somebody yesterday about this, about the gym analogy, and it's like networking that we spoke about as well. You can quite easily leave your gym bag in the back of the car and don't go to the
Absolutely.
gym. It won't do you any good sitting in the car. But if you
Yeah.
take the gym bag out and go to the gym regularly, consistently, you will start to see the benefit for it. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same what you're doing on LinkedIn and networking in general.
And
You've got to be
it's
active.
exactly, and you're absolutely right. 20 minutes over a month every day, including weekends, that adds up to a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it's just enough. You don't want to. You don't want to overexpose yourself in terms of your community, in terms of what you're doing. But you don't want to underexpose yourself. You just want a nice, gentle consistency, but doing it in the right areas at the
Yeah.
right time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm really
You're
looking forward
welcome.
for you to share that next week on the 9th of June. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Miles, about LinkedIn Success Systems and the other programs that you offer, what's the best way of getting in touch with Miles?
The best way is just go to my website, LinkedIn Success Systems. Sorry, lots of S's in there, all plural. The great thing, I've just had a webinar last week, 300 people on it. I share a lot, as Lee know, in Lee's group now. I give away an awful lot of free, and I really want, there's no follow-up. My next big event is on the 30th of July, and you can pre-register now on my website. So that's the best way.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to welcoming all the business club members to next week's learning session. But if you want to find out more on what's coming up, and if you'd like to get involved next week, please reach out to myself and Miles and find out what's happening and what's going on. Thank you very much, Miles, for today. Really
You're more than
appreciate your time
welcome.
as always. I look forward to seeing you virtually once again uh, on the 9th of June, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning till 12:30. Thanks again, everybody, for listening and for watching. And keep an eye out for the next ReConnect Meets interview, where I'll be meeting the next business owner and key influencer from across the UK network. From me, Miles, stay safe, keep healthy, and keep well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.